Welcome to the Strategies Football, presented by Local Football Flavor. In today's episode, we are going to discuss the Indianapolis Colts and the Kansas City Chiefs. Both of these two teams were their preseason selections to win their division, and we're going to break down about the 30 most important plays of this game, drawing some of them out, showing what the coaches were trying to accomplish, showing some of the great skill plays that happened in this, and try to give you as the viewer the feel of what happened to this game as it was going on through the eyes of the coach's tape. So without further ado, Colts hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. When we start a strategies of football with a special teams play, it's going to be pretty special. And in this case, Kansas City caused the Colts to go 3 and out, getting ready to get their game started, and then they muffed the opening punt. Oh, it's a bad way to start the day. Okay, on this play, there are two separate elements I want to highlight that go on with this game. First is the defensive line of both of these teams were incredibly stout on stopping runs up the middle. And the second is Indianapolis running game has evolved to the point when they are putting in false running channels to try to direct people in the wrong way. It's a great design, but unfortunately this is a theme that is happening across the NFL, but particularly to the Colts, that the offensive lines just aren't there yet, and Taylor's getting hit a lot close to the line of scrimmage. Down in the goal line, the Colts are running a max protect play where they want to make sure that no one is getting a sack here. So in this max protect version, they had their tight end staying in block, the running back staying in a block, and then 3 men in the route. What they ultimately end up doing is a back post, a front post, and a motion underneath flat. All this play essentially giving Ryan the read of looking to his left and then back to his right as the design of this play goes. And it's really good design. I really enjoy the way that they do it, and it's profitable. It also opens up one of the other key elements of this game, which we'll point out a lot as it goes on. But Kansas City was allowing the Colts to sit in their zones. Looking at the touchdown here, you see him come up, find the space in the zone, boom, perfect. Colts with the lead after that muff punt. Early in the game, Matt Ryan had a lot of issues. Some of them were mental, some of them were physical. This is a play fake that's not even attempted with a bullet of a pass that's uncatchable. Following a punt where the Colts put Kansas City into the 1 yard line, the defensive line for the Colts is just amazing this entire game. I want to highlight Grover Stewart here because the penetration he creates on this play absolutely wreaks havoc, and it's a theme of this game where they're just not running lanes because the Colts defensive line is incredible up the middle. Okay, on the third down of this drive, I want to highlight what the Kansas City Chiefs are looking to do here. We got Kelce doing a run across to get to the sticks. We got a clear out up the top to vacate the space, a second level throw, and then a hook route. Trying to just give MaHomes a lot of different options, starting with the underneath the Kelce, elevate up, and then to his decision about deep or underneath there. And one of the themes of this game really ends up being how Kelce is not dominating the linebackers that they're putting on him with the Chiefs. The Chiefs linebacker game is really strong. And we look at this from behind the quarterback's angle, it becomes apparent that Kelce's wide open. There's just no way around it. Just the Chiefs are playing tackle the catch, and they do it very well. This has been a really physical game in terms of teams trying to desire to run up the middle, and the defense is winning almost consistently. Every run up the middle, there's the Chiefs causing a fourth down. On the fourth down play, what do we got? We got another miscue by Matt Ryan. A play action, a guy's not there, not seeing a corner blitz, which Kansas City's very good at hiding. Matt Ryan problems. I'm going to use this play to illustrate the Clyde's Edwards-Helaire usage mystery that a lot of fantasy guys have. This right here, for being a wraparound play, is actually very well blocked, and a huge lane is created right here. You see that every player on the Colts side is teed up with the appropriate angle for Helaire to just cut it up and go up there. The only actual contact comes from this backer right here, and you're talking 4 to 6 yards downfield, which is how you want to draw up every running play. The problem with Helaire and why Andy Reid is losing confidence in him is he overruns the hole and then panics. So could have gone up in the hole. Now he tries to run around. What should have been a 4-yard gain is a 4-yard loss. That's why Helaire is in trouble. We're going to be breaking down this play for two main reasons. First is there's a lot of things that you can use from this concept-wise to benefit in your own simulations like Madden. And Andy Reid just creates a great play that I think that everyone should just look at. So the first thing we're going to see is how do the Colts respond into the motion man who's going across right here. So I want you to take a look at the linebackers as he's moving across. We just get a couple of little shuffle steps from our guys right here. And again, we're just going to re-show that just so I can illustrate the point in a little bit deeper fashion so it sets in clear. As they're moving across, a couple shuffle steps. And then the other key piece of information we get is our safety started creeping in. So what does that tell us in a nutshell? It tells us first that by the linebackers just doing some shuffle steps, they're in zone. Okay, cool. Now, with this safety creeping in, it's an indication that he is not over the top help. That is a big X out there. He is not going backwards. He is already moving forwards. Because if a safety starts moving in, he cannot make it back over the top. So very rarely do they ever start in and then go back out. Unless it's an extreme situation, like we're talking like a Troy Polamalu Hall of Fame level talent, which your run-of-the-mill safety in the NFL is not. So what he's ultimately trying to do in this play is a cover one robber. And the way that the Colts are taught to break it down is effectively man up after your zone is taken. And that's how it goes across the board, with the safety coming down to pinch the underneath, and then your backside safety having the over the top. That's the defense that the Colts are running here. And you got a big, strong indication of that by the fact that it's a zone-based system that the man takes over. And the indication of that was no one followed your guy across the field. Also, what this motion did was it took the corner that was up here off of your outside player, who was Kelce in this case, and now puts him over here, giving Kelce a matchup with a backer instead of a corner. And I highlight all the people in Atlanta who are watching Pitts be covered by corners and how much that's been hurting his production through 3 weeks. Having a linebacker tight end matchup is insanely valuable. So let's go back to the actual motion man himself. He comes in on a slant and out. And that is hugely significant because this corner, or this safety up top here rather, is already cheating in to try to pick off an underneath play. And the slant coming at him baits him in even harder. So now the other thing that Andy Reid does is, how can I exploit this? And that's a corner. Because now I'm going to have a linebacker by himself and this safety vacating the area. I'm going to run to where he should be on a corner route. But I'm also going to have to deal with this safety back here. How can we make it single coverage and keep him out of the play? We're going to run a second corner, essentially right at his space to make him get occupied. This will allow for Kelce, who is our primary target that we want to get open on this play, to be wide open. So I show this through because this is something that is very well drawn up. Kelce is the key target of Kansas City's offense, and they're still getting him open in one-on-one plays with just great scenarios like that. And it's something we can do in Madden every day. Showing the same play from the second angle, you really get to see how the safety crashes. Kelce does a little double move on a linebacker, and there's no linebacker to keep up with Kelce. Andy Reid is a genius with the way that he drew that play up. We are showing this play because it highlights the importance of knowing where your receiver is going to be. Kelce does a beautiful move there, and MaHomes actually throws this ball before he even enters his break. To show this play again, and to show exactly what I'm talking about here, just watch Kelce right here. He has an in or an out option, and MaHomes knows he's going out. Easy touchdown because they know each other. Okay, we're going to highlight this play because it shows something that the Colts are lacking. The first is at this point in the year, their offensive line just isn't having the continuity or success that it needs to be having. And the second is that their speed receivers are essentially non-existent because really they're not on the roster. But the one thing that they have that's going for them that could potentially be the only thing that opens up holes in terms of people not crashing the box against Taylor is that the Colts receivers are all mature and they're all able to sit in the zones and the holes of the defense, and Ryan can find them. This is a play that I feel like I'm drawing every week. We're going to have a motion man coming off our screen, left to right, a play action up the middle, and sucking linebackers in and creating a nice little void right here. I am so glad that this play is taking over across the league, and it feels no matter which quarterback combination, which running back stature, it doesn't matter. That gap's open, first down. Play action rules the NFL. So both of these teams were having trouble running up the middle, so they started doing some outside stuff. The Colts really were good within the first 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Basically, running plays underneath stuff, the Colts were shutting down all damn day. Really good defense from the Colts. I think it's defense in this game is going to get underrated. Fans of local football flavor, and especially of the strategies of footballs, know that I'm a big fan of play action plays, and that's what we're going to have in this one. But one question we get asked a lot is, how do I prevent my opponent from doing so much play action against me? And that answer is the same way you prevent your opponent from doing basically anything successfully against you. Pressure up the middle. This is Patrick MaHomes, the best quarterback, the most mobile quarterback in the NFL in terms of the total package, and pressure up the middle stops everything from happening. These are two great defensive tackles, and this is what kept the Colts in the game all day long. Okay, we're highlighting this play for two main reasons. First is that it is apparent that by the end of the year, Pacheco will be their number one running back. And second is that when Kansas City wants to, they can draw up some really good running plays. The key to this play is going to be the one-on-one block right here, as well as your cutback block here. I love how they do double teams, actually ends up being a triple team, and fall out to create the holes up here. And Pacheco, unlike Helaire, does not overrun the hole. No. He actually goes correctly right through the seam. Again, it's not the prettiest run. He doesn't break a million yards, but it's the kind of thing that you need to do to keep the chains moving. Remember, this is just a portion of the full episode on the strategies of football on the YouTube channel. Check the whole thing out. End of the first half. Colts are obviously put here deep. What do? We throw a nice jump ball to the right. And this is a pet peeve I have with the NFL like crazy. And when the ball is in the air and the receiver clearly puts his back to you, as a corner, you have to turn your head to put a play on the ball. It just doesn't happen in today's game anymore. So this is the kind of thing that makes Colts fans lose their mind. You know, we just got a big gain. We're doing a play action. People should be open, but Matt Ryan's not athletic at all. Why is he running? Why is he doing screen passes? Because all that's happening is fumbles and turnovers. Following the Matt Ryan fumble, the Chiefs take no time to get down to the goal line. And we're going to show all 4 plays it takes for them to get in order, because this is a major theme of this game. They cannot get into the end zone from the goal line. And this is at the end of the first half where eventually Helaire will score the touchdown. But this is a major problem that Kansas City is eventually going to have to deal with. And just getting flags to get more chances if you can't get the yard is not really the solution either. I mean, here obviously it works because you can't just block forever, but it's a problem. Take a look-see right here at this man on this play. This is the last drive that the Colts have of the first half. And the Colts are many things, but they are not built to be a stand-up passing game. And you just see the guard get trucked and Ryan gets sacked. Colts can't throw the ball consistently. As you guys know, I love play action way more than the average fan, but there is a cardinal rule of play action I believe that you should never break, which is don't give the ball to the guy you're play action with. I want to highlight Zaire Franklin right here because he follows his play completely in what ends up being a play action screen, and even though he doesn't make the tackle, his play to get through this double team right here, even though it's an illegal block going low and high at the same time, I think is just commendable. Kansas City's first drive of the second half does get him back to another 1st and goal here at the 4-yard line. And the Colts defense just continues to step up and dominate. Remember, this is a Colts defense that prior to this game had not stopped anyone in the red zone, let alone aware in the red zone, from scoring a touchdown yet. And this is Patrick MaHomes they're facing on 3rd and goal for about the 9th goal line play of this game. And to just hold up like this is amazing. At this point in the game, Indianapolis is losing by 7, and they are choosing to run the ball because that is their identity. In fact, they end up doing it so well in the second half, they only let Kansas City have the ball 3 times. Knowing your identity of being a strong running team opens up these passing lanes, and Pierce, as mature as a rookie has been, for sitting in his zone and catching the deep passes. So at this point in the game, the Colts are driving down like crazy, and unfortunately, we're going to have a mental mistake involving these 3 individuals right here. The number one job of the center, especially when you're only covered by one person, is to make sure that that one person at least gets hit before he comes through the line of scrimmage. And unfortunately for Matt Ryan, it's not even an Olay. It's just, I'm coming through this A-gap, and no one tried to block him. This mental mistake. We're going to draw this one up because this is kind of like an underrated, important play of the game. Kansas City is getting the ball to start their second drive of the half with only 3 minutes left in the quarter, and they really need to create a first down conversion here on this 3rd down. And whenever time they've gotten any of these plays, they have gone to Kelce. Kelce is their big dog, obviously, and they start by putting him in motion here to the top, and he actually comes back and he'll settle right here. And the route that they run is, for anyone who plays Madden, just essentially a levels flood route. And what they're trying to accomplish here is to take the top of the defense, if there is a cover 2, push him back, and then have the layer on this man get too far deep to be able to come down and help Kelce. So essentially, Kelce will get a one-on-one underneath. And that's what happens. This ends up being a cover 1 defense, so it doesn't really matter. The over-the-top guy takes care of it. And I just find it just so great the way that Reid is able to recognize what he needs out of his players and to make it happen. And to set everyone up, when we snap this ball, because the Chiefs are sitting in their zone and being base, you draw the left to right of the field, we have 3 defenders with only 1 wide receiver over there versus a 3-on-4 matchup. It kind of makes it very clear to MaHomes off the bat which direction to go. And then when we look at how it is with the jam underneath, you can tell that we're basically got a 3 defenders on the 2 Colts guys here. Sorry for getting the lines here everywhere. But once you know that, it makes it very clear that Kelce's going to have the mismatch. We just got to get him the rock. And it's just really well drawn. Kelce can outrun either sidelines. And then he's just a beast, man. Just blowing people over. I want to show that from the other angle. So when you look at the other angle, you actually get a little bit more nuances of what Kelce's doing in the play. He comes out, hits that quick out. 44 can't keep up with him. And then just his raw strength is just so on display. He is not slowing down with age. Kansas City starts their second drive of the second half with basically no time left in the 3rd quarter. And they go into this shell of running the ball and playing the Colts game, of wanting to keep all of their time of possession to keep their defense fresh. And they were doing a lot of running plays like that. And I paused it right here because this is a play where they do a toss and throw it back to MaHomes. Despite the fact that Kansas City has been running it, More or less, the Colts have stayed disciplined. You see, the over the top is covered down here, and we even have near double coverage on Kelce. The problem is that the MaHomes Kelce connection is so refined at this point, and he is just so trusting. He's just also so athletic. How do you stop Kelce? All right, Kansas City, we have controlled the clock in the second half. Very unlike Kansas City, but dominating the clock to keep the Colts offense from controlling the clock. But unfortunately, we got to a fourth down. Field goal, not that far, roughly a 47-yarder. And it's also 4th and 10. I need to point that out because I got yelled at before from a number of people when I released the video saying that the number one weakness of Kansas City is their own internal arrogance. And I believe that this play sums it up. Yes, they don't have Buckner, so this is a different kicker that you just brought, and your punter throwing the ball to a tight end that was 10 yards short of the sticks. That is arrogance to the max, and if you're going to do a 4th down play, at least keep MaHomes on the field. The Colts got the ball back after that Kansas City fake field goal fiasco with roughly 8 minutes left, and they did the most Colts thing you can do. Tons of running the ball and controlled passing. And here we are with a 2-minute looming at about the 38-yard line. Hines is on the field, who is their receiving back, and you can see Kansas City has so many defensive backs on the field. But what the Colts end up doing is a zone play where everyone kicks out. And one of the things I want to point out is the maturity. I use that word a lot with the Colts because it's a very applicable to their system and their culture. But it's a very disciplined run block of this offensive unit, that they don't get too far ahead of each other and they keep it consistent, which ultimately opens up a huge lane and a near backbreaker. Yeah, the Colts are down by 4, but when they're moving the ball like this and they've just owned the clock for 6 minutes with no fear, that's scary. So for those who have the assumption that just calling a running play is always safe and nothing bad can really happen, I'd like to introduce you to the risk of this play. Despite the fact that this is Jonathan Taylor, one of the best running backs in football, and the Colts who are running the ball like crazy, that is their identity. There's less than 3 minutes left. They're down by 4. We need a touchdown now. As I've mentioned throughout this game, the defensive linemen of both teams, particularly the tackles, are getting penetration like crazy, and this play is no exception. 95 is going to get in there. And what this play ultimately is it's a read play for Taylor. We're going to have a kick out block here from the tackle, and then the rest of the line kicking down. This tackle here, which means the way that it's designed, both of these players are unblocked off the initial wave. So the way that they adjust for it is we have a tight end trying to scoop in and pick one of them out and hoping that the linebacker is not blitzing. Now, in this play, we're just going to show it to you. Taylor is permitted to make the decision of where he wants to go with the ball. As we saw, the backside is blocked perfectly. And if Taylor can get around this right here, all of this penetration, there's a really good chance because 55 bailed out of the play because he was in coverage. Again, we're at the end of the game. You should be passing. Who runs the ball whenever they're going to kill the clock on themselves? I mean, who does that? Well, not everyone has Jonathan Taylor, and not everyone can make a hole nearly as wide as the hashes. That is absolutely huge, and this is the kind of confidence that the Colts bring to the table that most teams are not ready for. All right, now the Colts are really playing with fire. We got 30 seconds left, and what's going to happen now? Matt Ryan has to finally step up and play. We can't keep hiding him with our running game. And that's exactly what he does. He finds a nice slant route in front of the end zone, touchdown. What a way to end the game. The one thing you 100% can take away from that conclusion is that the Indianapolis Colts know themselves and they know what they are. They are a good running team that can also do down and outs like the rest of the league can. So what I really enjoyed with this was their utter confidence. And the fact that they were so confident in their system, despite being blanked the week before in Jacksonville, that they got the probable Super Bowl favorites in the Kansas City Chiefs to play Colts football. The Colts were so dedicated to their run that the Kansas City Chiefs knew that they were going to have time of possession by a mile if Kansas City didn't play their game. And you saw that implemented throughout it. This game only had 3 drives each in the second half. That's unheard of. It's normally like 7 to 9. That's how in between each play, they're killing as much clock as possible. Kansas City played Colts football, and that is what the Colts ultimately exploited. Yes, there is no doubt that the most talented player on that field was Patrick MaHomes. And Kelce did things that were phenomenal, especially that play where he runs everyone over and gets an extra 20 yard. And Reid drew so many things up. But at the end of the day, when you lose by 1 point, it's really easy to identify a couple of things that you did wrong, or a couple of things in the Colts case that they got lucky with. And I break it down to 4 things that if I was a Kansas City fan, that I would be irate about. The first, obviously, being on the opening punt of the game, muffing it and giving the free touchdown to the Colts. Because you could make the argument that if you don't go down 7-0 as the Kansas City Chiefs, you can play your football the whole game and you can make it a blowout like you did earlier in the year. But that didn't happen. Second thing you can be upset about is the missed field goals. Obviously, that wasn't awesome. There's some big concerns about how it takes you 9 plays to get in the end zone. And the one drive, you only got a field goal out of it. So Kansas City has a lot of things that you can be worried about. But the number one thing I would be upset about is you're up by 4. Why are you doing a fake field goal and throwing the ball 10 yards short of the sticks? If you're going to fake it, fine. Use MaHomes. Use Kelce. You clearly have shown that Reid can get him open. Do something like that. That's where I would be upset. And likewise, if I'm on the Colts side, I would be really concerned about where Matt Ryan took me in that first half. So many fumbles, so many loose balls, and there's a lot of passes that are just errant that you could say it's already his 3rd game with his crew. He's just not on the same page yet, but some of them are arm strength concerns that maybe Matt Ryan doesn't quite have it anymore. So moving on to this game, there's certainly a lot I liked about it. Credit to all the Chiefs for their fight back in it. But the confidence displayed by those Indianapolis Colts, that's scary level kinds of stuff. To know effectively that we're going to run the ball back and only give ourselves one chance. Most coaches in the NFL would have rushed that drive with the opportunity to give themselves 2 shots. Nah, I like how the Colts did it. We're taking our one shot. We're going to be methodical, and we're going to do this correctly. And if they take that kind of confidence throughout the season, it's going to be a scary team to deal with in the AFC. Thank you for being a team player. Team players, click like and subscribe.